Hi, this is Giovanni, tutorial number 4. This is for importing from Bob's into Max and assigning textures. This is a pre-slice tutorial, so if you already know how to do that, this guy may be below your pay grade. On the screen right now are a couple folders, or a couple directories. The first I'm looking at is my R-Factor install, and I'm going into my Bob's Track Builder folder. I'm going to select all the objects and textures that I want to import into Max for initial editing. That'll include the road tar Max, the T0S0, which is my track, the wall cement, and the wall GMT, the grass textures, and all of the X sectors. I'm not going to import the TA objects just yet. Those are the infield and outfield terrain that were generated by Bob's. I'm pasting them into a working directory folder that I've already prepared, and in there are some dirt textures that are ready to be placed on this tutorial track, and a list of matte color textures which we will use what I'll use when I slice up a track. You won't see those in this tutorial, but they're in there. Going into Max, the Max script importer, I'm going to import that directory and get to work on it. I assume some familiarity with Max from anybody watching these tutorials. If you're a beginner in Max and you don't understand what I'm doing, or you don't know how to do what I'm doing, there are tutorials out there that are going to be better than anything I can create, and I recommend viewing them. This kind of assumes some level of experience in Max. If I try to do a tutorial on how Max works, I'll sound pretty ignorant because this software is bigger than my little brain can handle. So I know how to do what I need to do, and that's what we're going to show you. First thing I do when I import a track from Bob's to Max is I adjust all my X sectors where I want them, and then I never look at them again. This is a one-time adjustment and done. Right now I'm setting my start-finish line where I want it. If I was replicating a track, I would be placing it where the flag stand was. These smaller X-pit in and X-pit out sectors, I'm just getting off of my driving surface so that I'm not pulling up pit windows while I'm testing. I will revisit those later in the process when I have my infield created and I have pit roads built. I'll actually know where those guys belong. I'll come back and resize them or move them as needed. But for now, we're just getting them out of the way. So I have my two timing sectors where I want them, which I don't put a ton of thought into. I guess you could if you wanted to. But for me, I just want to get them in a place where they work. So I'm going to do a get selected when I'm in the GMT converter. This is exporting these objects when I hit do mesh, and I'm pressing my delete key to get them out of my work area. And so I can get to the rest of the project here. That's it. X sectors are done. Now we have the only thing left in our work area here is a track object and a wall object. The track object selected, the modifier tool selected. I'll pop up our material editor here because that's where we're going to spend a little time. Before we do that, I want to show you, if you select polygon, scroll down to the surface properties. This is where your material IDs, this is where you're going to set your material IDs for the polygons that are selected. If you press the drop down, you'll see all the materials that are currently assigned to that object. And right now there's just one, Road A62. When you select it, it essentially selects all of the polygons on the track. That name is mirrored over here in your material ID, or your material editor. This is what controls what in the TDF, or what the TDF call is. So like when you look in your TDF and you see the materials equals, this is what it's calling. So when I go into my TDF, if I create an entry for tutter heat, which is what I just named this, just for test purposes, any adjustments I would make to it would affect all of the polygon faces tutter heat. So let's make it look like dirt. I'm going to go in, press DX9, select the bitmap or whatever it's called there to bring up the texture, bring up the file browser. I'm going to select my dirt texture, show it in the viewport, and now it looks like a dirt track. I'm also going to set my specular map and bump map using the spec map and bump map textures I've created for this. I'm also going to change the map channel for my spec and bump map to map channel 1. Quick and easy. This is more about clicking than using your brain. Which, if you don't already know this, making tracks can be incredibly tedious. Alright, so I hit copy all to take that dirt texture and draw it across DX8 and DX7. So the track essentially is ready for slicing. If you do the material ID check there, you can see that now all of the polygons are assigned to Tutter Heat. I'm going to change the track object to anything other than T0S0. This isn't a requirement. This is more about just so I don't have multiple tracks at different states of editing with the same name. Would hate to accidentally take a T0S0 that was straight out of Bob's and drop it into a folder with something that I've already spent a couple hours on. So change the name, keep things separate. I did a get selected and a do mesh. You'll also probably noticed, or if maybe you didn't, that I checked the Omni checkbox, which determines tells the object that it does receive Omni lighting. I don't use Omni lighting on my tracks, but a lot of people do. So I want to leave that in there. That way, they have the option to edit the track as they wish. If that wasn't checked and you were using Omni lighting, your track would not receive light. Not the effect you're looking for. Now I select the wall object, and I'm going into the material editor, and I'm not touching the texture or the object name, but I am going to change the material ID to something that reflects that it's a wall instead of the standard Bob's Road A. If I had left it at Road A and I was trying to adjust in the TDF to change the way the wall reacts, and I'm changing the numbers down there in the TDF that say cement wall or tire wall, it's going to do absolutely nothing because its material ID was Road A. Now its material ID is wall _ tut, so I can control this guy with a little bit more common sense. So go into a folder called Meshes for Macs, is where I have 3D Max set to export all files to, and there you can see all of our files that are edited and freshly created, all of our GMTs. So I'm going to work on those guys any further. If I closed Max and came back, I would put those into my working directory. If I wanted to see those in game, I could go drop them in the game folder right now, along with the textures, and make the appropriate changes in the SCN file and the TDF so they operated. But I'm going to show you how to do that in one of the final tutorials, but we're ready to slice this guy up, and that's coming up next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.